Nice to meet you, Eskil. We are talking with Eskil Vogt. I hope my pronunciation is good.
It's perfect.
And nice to meet you. He's the director and the excellent filmmaker of Poderes Ocultos. This film is going to be released this October the 2nd and November in Chilean cinemas in 40 theaters. So, of course, in Sala Nemesio. So nice to meet you. I love your movie. Why do you think this issue, this genre, fantastic and, telekinesis and this kind of issues always is a main attractions in movies?
It's hard to say. I love horror movies and I love supernatural stories, and I feel they're very, they're very strong and cinematic. It's about you can have people talking about the supernatural and the powers, but what you want to see is how they work in the world, and you have to invent a cinematic language for that. And I feel that makes them, if they're good, they'll be very visual. There will be sounds and images that tell the story, and they will have like a physical impact on the spectator. So I feel it's a very cinematic genre. That said, I'm not in love with all the superhero, the stories of young people discovering they have supernatural abilities. I think there's a little bit too many of them, and but I felt with my story that it's more about the magic of childhood and living in that period of life where everything is possible. And I could use that to tell an exciting supernatural story, but the magic in the film was about being a child in a way.
Yes, and you achieved that completely. Uh, Talking about the children, the casting process, I think was difficult in order to figure out these fantastic characters and child actors. How was that process, the casting process?
Well, it's I also write my films and write films, and I always say when I write, I can't think about all the difficulties and the problems of making movies because there's so many. So I try to leave that outside the writing room. This is actually my writing room I'm in right now. I try to put that all out there, and then I fall in love with an idea and I write it, and then suddenly I put on the director hat and I go like, oh shit, I have to make a movie with four children as main actors and also a cat, and they say also never work with animals and children. And if you're going to work with an animal, choose a dog and not a cat because you can't train a cat, so I knew we had to make this work. So with my producer, we said, well, if not all four of these kids are amazing, and they act on a level that works for an adult audience, the movie will be bad.
And I want to know also how are your reference, because I read Akira. The anime Akira is a main reference, of course, because we have this kid with supernatural powers. But I wanna talk about that. But I don't know if you know that you're gonna share screens, because Akira is gonna be released in Chile the same day that your movie is gonna be released. I mean, we have we wanna have the original one, Akira, a classic, and we have your homage and your excellent movie, and we have a anime and a live action of the same fantastic issue, that is kids growing up and facing this reality.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah, the Katsuhiro Otomo, the great mind between Akira, was a big inspiration for this movie. But it was even more than Akira. It was the manga he made before Akira, which is called A Child's Dream, I think is the English translation. Dumu is the the bad Japanese pronunciation of the Japanese title, but which is even more of a key inspiration for my movie. And we, even with the cinematographer, we looked at those kind of Japanese style manga compositions and tried to find our own language that could have some of that purity of his drawings. So it's really cool that Akira is re-released at the same time, because it is a great film, you know, and his style as a manga artist and themes really inspired his film.
Talking about the aesthetic of the film, the way it was shot, it's very visual. I mean, it's fantastic how you ensemble delicate special effects with this beautiful image on the screen, and also the portrayal of these kids. It's very naturalistic. It's very real. How do you figure it out that in terms of mise en scène?
Well, there's a lot of different kind of inspirations, and even though The Innocent is a suspenseful, hopefully horror film, it's also a film about childhood. So what me and the cinematographer talked about early was what kind of world does kids live in? How can we recreate that in cinema? And what a lot of we talked about was kids are visual, but they're also very tactile. They touch everything, you know, they see with their fingers. So we need to get in there with the camera and see that they pick on a scab and eat the scab, and hopefully the audience will have done something like that, and having it seen like that, some of their childhood memories of like how it was to be a child will come there. You know, like they'll be reminded of that. So we had that as an ambition, and then also we have the special effect shots, and of course, if we are that close to the tactile, sensuous world of children, then the visual effects need to be in the same style. You know, they can't suddenly be a wide shot with a lot of CGI. That, you know, it needs to be on the same intimate level and feel as believable and as tactile as the other shots. So that created like the level of intimacy of the visual effects. And also I felt that is very true of, you know, even in horror movies, you can go too big, you know, and sometimes you have like someone's head being chopped off. And I, as a spectator, I laugh at that because I don't, it's like a splatter movie, it's fun because I can't relate to it. But if you have in the same movie or another movie, just someone's finger being hit with a hammer, I'll feel that in my whole body, you know, and that's more like an interesting level of violence. You know, you need it to be, feel it in your body. And I feel that's a good horror movie, is that it's not only in your mind, but you feel it in your body. And I felt like the memories of childhood you should feel in your body, the violence you should feel in your body, and also it should feel real in a way. And so that's why, instead of doing the Marvel, all the windows blow out in the apartment building, you do like something very small, like a pine needle levitating next to their foot, and it will hopefully feel more magic.
I just want to make an invitation. The movie Poderes Ocultos is going to be released this November the 2nd in almost every theater in Chile. You must see it. Se va a estrenar el 2 de noviembre en los teatros chilenos, en los cines chilenos, Poderes Ocultos. Aquí tenemos el gusto de haber hablado con Eskil Vogt. Thank you so much for your time, and please keep going writing and directing movies. We need you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.